You can't hear me because I wasn't on the stream. Welcome. How are you? I hope, excuse me, I hope you are doing very well today. Or I guess we should say this evening, right? Today is Saturday, May the 20th, 2023. Um, and I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Shameless pandering moment. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. Thumbs up if you do enjoy the presentation. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. And yes, there'll be time for more shameless pandering after I finished presenting my information that I want to present. So, welcome everybody. Now then, look, everyone is talking about Kohberger. Okay, I predict this is the trial of the century. I do. I'm there. I believe it. I do not think, and I could be. I thought Lori Vallow that they would have a hard time keeping her off the stand. I still say she wanted to testify, and that's part of the reason why she got so angry when the closing remarks were so awful. I think she probably was saying, "I told you I should have testified," but so I could be wrong about this, but I don't see Bryan Kohberger walking away from this. I don't see him going, okay, well, you guys got me, no harm, no foul. I'll just take a nice little plea deal and disappear into the sunset. Let's just say, even if, and I don't think it would ever happen, but just playing devil's advocate, let's just say the prosecution was motivated to make a deal. Who here believes that Kaylee Goncalvez's family is going to go, oh, yeah, sure, we'll take a deal. Not a biggie. Oh, no. No. They're not dealing. They came to play. They are, in their minds, this is the closest that they will ever get to protecting their child, or as they like to say, their children, including Madison with Kaylee. So I just don't see there being a deal. It's not going to happen. I'm convinced of it. Now, it's going to be a death penalty, I would presume, and of course people are going to get mad and say, oh, you don't know, how dare you say that? Well, because I can have an opinion, and that's that. So that brings us to, now I do want to say this, these accusations, the way that this Kohberger thing has played out, the animosity and the anger towards law enforcement, and the frustration with the gag order, and then various people in the true crime community white knighting and being very aggressive about whether someone's allowed to speak about certain information or not. Look, we're not even within a year of this trial happening, and people are already getting crazy. Krayzee. We are not even close to this thing going to a jury, and you guys are already acting like you were acting with the whole Chris Watts case. I'm telling you, every now and then these cases come along and they get under people's skin, and they get, well, Krayzee, meaning passionate and a sense of ownership, and they begin to lash out at people and almost like hold them responsible for the crimes of the the accused. It's kind of a crazy thing to watch. And hybristophilia is a real thing. There's a lot of discussion on what it actually is, but anything can become a philia, where it becomes like a replacement a sexualized object, right? That anyone can, through a process of conditioning, a traditionally non-sexual object or activity can be conditioned to become sexualized in nature. And so I think, media and Hollywood and the way that some of these stories have been presented, I think, a lot of the conditioning that's happened to turn serial killers into, oh, you sexy beast. I think a lot of that is just fantasy. It's just fantasy coming from the various entertainment vehicles. And trust me, the first time one of these girls who thinks that they're in love with one of these sexy beasts, the first time one of these sexy beasts turns those cold dead eyes on her and works his magic, if you know what I mean, it won't be fun anymore. She'll get over it really quick, because these are terrifying people. And they're parasites, and they're predators. And you gotta, some people will say you don't fall in love with another person, you fall in love with the way you feel when you're with that other person. And so you watch these, highly romanticized, or not romanticized, highly sexualized, erotic, kind of violence, erotica presentation of serial killers, that it's dangerous, and it gives, or relationship or sex, makes it edgy. And that is pure fantasy. Someone who's locked up behind bars, and you're at home in your nice cozy little bed surrounded by your little pink pillows and frilly curtains, and in your mind you're playing out this weird kind of S&M, possibly S&M kind of fantasy, that bears zero resemblance to what it actually is happening. You're lucky if you're flirting around with one of these people, you're lucky to have them behind bars and you be in your safe little house. So we have to be, careful about how we portray these people. I think I kind of hit on this a little bit, not talking about serial killers, but although Lori Vallow would definitely satisfy the definition for serial killer. But I was talking about Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, and that, Chad is a killer, right? If I know right now he's accused, right? I understand that. I don't need you guys to come at me and be all, high and mighty and how you know everything and I don't know anything. Let's don't do all that. I know what you're going to say. I get what you're saying. But for the purpose of discussion, does that make you feel relaxed? For the purpose of discussion, you've got Chad Daybell in jail, and if he in fact did this, right, inspired Lori to kill and yada yada, I've said Lori was one of these women where she was practiced. She was very good at using her sexuality to manipulate men. And Chad, he ain't never met anybody like Lori Vallow. You know what I mean? Not the bedroom. And so she was manipulating a guy. She was messing with his mind in a way that he had never experienced. And if he was already psychopath and detached and antisocial and all those horrible words and very selfish, delusions of power and grandeur, a fair amount of religiosity, I'm going to convince people I'm God and whatnot. she playing with that type of psychopathy, manipulating that level of psychopathy with these sexual games, she didn't know what she was messing with. And I think she did the same thing with Alex. I think he too was manipulated sexually by her, but I don't believe she was acting on it. I think she was playing those games and sort of evoking in him that, it's my job to protect. And if it means killing little kids, well, oh well. So all that aside, I think when people get all up into this fantasy world of hybristophilia, that's when things get sincerely weird. And so when you think about what Bryan Kohberger was doing, and you think about his history and his childhood or his early teenage years, he wasn't prepared to interact and be on the sexual trying grounds of teenage years. He wasn't capable of doing it. And so he began this game in his mind. This is 100% my opinion. Again, you people that need to run the show and tell people how to do things and what they should be allowed to do, y'all just sit down, because I'm just talking about my opinion. Okay? So I think that he started living these daydreams where he could feel like he was connected to a group, where he could feel like I think he was playing out these little sitcoms in his head where he was socially capable and that he was desirable to friends and to girls and all of those things. And I think in some ways, the drugs helped him do that. The drugs supported that kind of altered state of consciousness at times, that then he'd get, he's taken something like heroin, which is going to make him kind of zone out and have, be numb and finally fall asleep. And that's the perfect kind of altered state of consciousness where he can play through these kind of Hollywood inspired sets where he's the charming, charismatic guy in the middle of the party and everybody wants to talk to him. Or he's the guy that the pretty girl is, trying to get his attention. So he's playing that out. Then he falls asleep, and when he's in the middle of this idea of Kohberger as, social butterfly, and then he goes to sleep. So when he wakes up in the morning, it's time for him then to go to work or do whatever he does, and he feels relatively good until the reality of his limited life slaps him in the face again. Then he feels bad and angry again, right? His father was trying to get his neighbors to be his friend when he was dropping off BK in Washington. They had to know that he was a weirdo. I had not heard that story, Jay. Thank you for that. So, he really had some problems, right? Socially, he had some problems. He also had some addictive issues, be it food or drugs. I'm gonna guess there was probably voyeurism and stalking. Who would be surprised to hear that he was stalking or that there was levels of voyeurism? It wouldn't surprise me a bit, right? Not a bit. So we're getting all this information now coming out about him, and we know that we have the gag order in place. We know that law enforcement, the prosecution, the judge, that they have said, hey, we don't want anybody talking about this. We want everybody to be quiet. Well, those of us that have grown accustomed to these true crime stories, we're frustrated by that, and we think, why are you doing that? What's the big secret? What are you up to? Nobody ever trusted Judge Boyce because of his secretive nature. Now we got another big case coming out of Idaho. So far, they haven't been, well, I mean, I guess they have been secretive, just in a different way from Boyce. But it does undermine your confidence, doesn't it? Because you think to yourself, what are you being so secretive about? Why do you think you can tell the families of the victims that they can't talk? And what makes you think that you can't tell, that there's newspaper people or news people, you're going to tell them that they're not allowed to talk about the case? That's just simply not realistic, and it actually goes against the United States Constitution, right? So when the law enforcement says to you, hey, don't talk about this case, the only information that you should believe or report on is what we directly tell you. They're not telling you anything. So that's number one. Don't believe anything unless we tell you. Okay, so we're zombies? We don't have a thinking brain in our head? Oh, well, that can't be real because law enforcement didn't tell us that. Not true. Law enforcement may not be talking. They may not be saying the evidence that they've collected. However, there's information out there. And it's silly and foolish to believe that we, people that are not connected to this case, we don't know the people that will be the ultimate actors in this case. In no way would we ever become witnesses in the case. It's simply not realistic to say you're not allowed to talk about this. We face the same exact type of mentality with the Chris Watts thing. And I think that case going on over in England is probably going to highlight that's just not reality. You can't do that to people. People want to talk. We are herd animals. We like to talk about what other animals do. And when it's something so far outside of the normal expected behavior of our herd, we talk about it. If you go into the jungles around the chimpanzees or the mountain gorillas or whatever, if something unusual happens with one or two of what they call pods, if something happens to one or two members of the family, the whole entire family stops what they're doing. They all quit and they all freeze and they look and they're like, oh, what's happening? What's going on over there? What was that? And then they all go look, chattering and excited. Okay, it's natural. This is a natural, normal phenomenon. We're going to want to talk about it. Now, as I said, I do see some disturbing parallels between the Bryan Kohberger case and the Chris Watts murders. And I'm not talking about the murderers themselves. I'm talking about the people in the true crime community. I watched Jennifer, what is it, Coffindaffer? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I watched her get crucified late last night, this morning. Crucified! Why? Because she gave her opinion during the Dateline story last night. She was crucified. People were coming at her on a way that, well, frankly, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Oh, you are jury tampering. That was one of my favorites. You are jury tampering, Jennifer Coffindaffer. You are making things dangerous. No, she's not. She's talking. She's talking about her profession. She's talking about things that she's encountered for 20 years in her profession, and she's certainly capable and qualified to give her an opinion on what she's learning and seeing. And she is following this case very closely. I think she's always like near the first person to put up, legal documents, things like that. She's doing a good job. But the things that people were saying, it was so weird. I was like, man, where is this coming from? Because with the Chris Watts case, it got to be the same way. If you put up a Chris Watts video, your live was invaded by 50 people screeching and screaming. You can't talk about this. The family said, don't talk about this. Okay, I get it. I understand. And certainly you want to be uh, sensitive to the family members of the victims. No question about it. But what in the world is happening in your life that you're spending your time as part of a roving flying monkey group that you're assaulting and verbally assaulting and attacking people, that you're turning their channels in a way that is not accurate? Where is all this passion coming from? You don't know these people. Why would you do this? Is this the only source of esteem that you have, is to scream at someone and say, don't talk about it. You can't talk about it. The cops said don't talk about it. Where do you know that this is verified law enforcement information? Well, I don't know that it's verified law enforcement information, but I do know that it was on a website. And not only did I read the website, but I actually downloaded all of Bryan Kohberger's posts. And that's been verified that it was, in fact, Bryan Kohberger on the Visual Snow website. And so I can then go through what he wrote then, and I can look at it as a data point for potential diagnostic criteria. So I don't know what you're screeching about. That's information that's been verified by the cops, but it's not something new where they came out and said, oh, okay, well, today we're going to allow you to talk about visual snow and Bryan Kohberger. So there have been friends that have come forward that have talked about Bryan Kohberger's history. And we're getting information now from the family. The family was in turmoil. At least one of the sisters said it might have been Bryan. Is it possible that Bryan did this to those four in Idaho? So they actually went outside in the middle of the night to look in his car to see if they could find anything, like, smoking gun kind of thing. Okay, so what do we make of these people that are on YouTube that run around either attacking people like Jennifer Coffin-Daffer, that she had no right to go on Dateline. She had no right. None of that information had been reported by the law enforcement on Dateline. So we have no way of knowing. And it was jury tampering. It's like, simmer it down. Chill. Put your feet up. I'll bring you a nice cup of iced tea. Just relax. All right? I mean, they are getting... Y'all just go over to her Twitter feed. It got weird. I was thinking, these people need a damn hobby. You know what I mean? So it got me to thinking about this whole Chris Watts, Bryan Kohberger parallel in terms of the way that the people of YouTube, consumers and creators alike, what makes us do what we do in these big cases. You see the same kind of drama play out among the Summer Wells, community. So I thought, well, let's take a look and see if we might get off to a bit of a better foot on this. Now, I can say this. These people that go around attacking because they don't like what you're talking about, they don't like your theories, they don't like your speculation, those people don't bother me anymore. They're coming. Right? If you put up a YouTube video, they will come. If you build it, they will come. All right? They're going to come. They are a permanent fixture on YouTube, and they're not like me and you. The way that they look at all this is very odd and hard to put your finger on. But I tried to kind of divide it up into different tribes, right? We're herd animals. We have our own herd. We'll call them tribes since we're human animals, all right? So when you have a gag order in place, I believe in a case where there's so much interest, I think all you're doing is you're creating an environment where people that are a bit, you know, unscrupulous will make up lies, knowingly lying, knowingly pushing that lie as truth in an effort to get the viewers and get the money. Correct? I think when the sheriff's department or the prosecutors, I think when they're working with real media sources, real journalists, I think when they work with real journalists, then we get a steady stream of accurate information, factual information, and that helps to control the crazy, fraudulent gigs that end up, you know, blossoming on YouTube. There's one right now related to Bryan Kohberger. This whole thing about the drugs. There's something about drugs. I don't want to push the thing because it's not. I don't think it's real. I don't think it's based in reality at all. I think it's coming from a couple of channels that are making a great deal of money off of that. It's entertaining to the people that like those channels. They're enjoying the conversation. I don't know that it's much different than watching a Netflix video, a story that, you know, may not be exactly true, or it may be based on real life, you know, episode. But there are artistic liberties taken. But nevertheless, so there is that group of people, creators, that they recognize, hey, people want to talk about this story. And they want it to be salacious and extraordinary. And I'm not making any super chats. My PayPal is sleepy. I need to make something interesting based on the Kohberger tale and see if I can get some interest going here. And then people get excited, and then they start going back and going back. And if you get 2, 3, 4 channels all kind of doing this at the same time, well, then you got the whole Steele dossier effect, where the people that leaked it to the mainstream media, they were actually the same people that verified it as fact. They just did in like kind of a, you know, moving the shell game around. But it, you know, that's kind of what's happening with this whole story related to the drugs and all that. Now, I'm not passing judgment on these people. They can do what they want to do. They're grown adults, and you're a grown adult going and listening, and you like the story. It's interesting. The people, the creators are charismatic, interesting personalities. So I don't have a problem with it. But, you know, keep your feet on the ground, because you realistically have to ask yourself, where are they getting this really intensive, intimate information when there's a gag order? Nobody else is getting any information, because if what you're saying is true, that would be all over the National Enquirer, and it's not. But again, have fun with it if that's the kind of thing you enjoy. I love wild speculation. I own that. Some would even say I'm a conspiracy theorist. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I am a conspiracy realist. I'm playing, okay? Just everybody calm down. So that's one of the groups. The group where let's say that they are the I thought I'd given them a name. The wealthy wicked. That is the name of their tribe. They are the wealthy wicked. They are getting the views, baby. They are getting the views because their story is cool. It's interesting. It's salacious. It's crazy. It is Hollywood. And people like it. And that's where they go, is to be in the story. These guys have bills to pay. They got mouths to feed. Ain't nothing in the world for free. Ain't no rest for the wicked. All right? So they are talented creators. They are artistic in a way that they can invent breaking news stories, and magically incredible witnesses appear out of nowhere, and they put on a hell of a show. Some would say this is fraud. Others would say, I can't get enough fun. I like it. Give me another story. Bring on another witness. All right? So that's one of the tribes, the wealthy wicked. All right? There's another tribe, though, and this tribe is the one I told you about earlier, and these are the ones who know the facts and they respect them. They know the facts, and their very life depends on the facts. Nothing but the facts, ma'am. Nothing but the facts. It does not matter if the knife was green or turquoise. Just the facts. It was a knife. How dare you say it was a turquoise knife? Can't you tell it was a green knife? And law enforcement never told us it was a green knife. How dare you call it a turquoise knife? Those guys, you know those guys? All right. They take all the fun out of this whole true crime thing, don't they? Right? Just the facts. Law enforcement didn't say that. Law enforcement didn't tell us we could talk about that. How dare you talk about it? Quit talking about it. Don't talk about this case. Don't talk about this case. I'm going to unsubscribe. I'm going to report you for wild speculation. All right. So these people, I'm playing. I'm just, teasing. These are people that have a very intimate, desperate relationship with the truth. They need it. They need verified facts, unmitigated truth, just like they need oxygen. Okay? It's important to them. I'm kind of making fun. I'm kind of laughing a little bit about it. But trust me, this is a vicious group when you step off of that path of the truth. They're vicious. I've had my death described to me in more ways than you can even imagine. By women. They really love the truth. Okay? All right. So they will come at you. These are the people that were coming at Jennifer Coffindaffer. They look at, there is a line in the sand, and you dare not cross it, or there shall be hell to pay. And Jennifer crossed that line. Jennifer went on Dateline. She crossed the line. How dare she? She's in trouble. Sorry, Jennifer, but you are. Don't worry, you'll get over it. There are those who believe that they are actually, when they're on YouTube, that they are actually acting as officers of the court. They believe their role on YouTube discussing these cases is tantamount to being an officer of the court, and they will be militant in asserting that nothing should be discussed that hasn't been law enforcement verified. Period. I mean, I think these guys are wearing jack boots. You know what I mean? I think they got little hand signs when they see each other. Hail truth. Okay. This is unrealistic. It is unrealistic, and it's made all the more unrealistic by the gag order. As I said, when you have a good relationship between journalist and the prosecutor's office, then you get information that is accurate and it is dependable. And if your environment is based on verified fact, then there's not as much room for the wicked wealthy. Okay, they don't have as much wiggle room to have fun and make their operas. So so there's another one of our tribes. Okay, is these people that are the officers of the court. They know right from wrong, and it is their job to educate me and Jennifer Coffindoffer and anybody else that dare speak anything that didn't come out of law enforcement's mouth. Okay? They are the officers of the court. So it's the officers of the court. That's one tribe. We have the wicked wealthy. They're the fun group. Okay? The wicked wealthy. And then, what are we? Well, I call us, you're not going to like it. You're going to be kind of upset about this. We're the water cooler team. You know what I mean? We're the gray tribe. You know how all of the flags, like for LGBTQ and stuff, you know how they're beautiful? They're so beautiful. They have so many colors and everything. Do you know what the flag is for cisgender people? Gray. Monochromatic gray. It's boring. It's sad. But we're the water cooler team. Now, why do I say that we're the water cooler tribe? Because we're the people, we know the facts. We know the case. We like it. We're interested in it. And we try to find good facts. And we try to, verify the stuff we have found. Correct? We like it. But we're the people that if we were at our office on Monday morning, we'd all be standing around the water cooler talking about, hey, how about that case in Idaho? That is scary. Can you imagine? Hey, John, don't you have a couple of kids at college? Damn. Can you imagine? My God, what went wrong there? Right? Y'all know the kind. You know what I'm talking about. We're herd animals. We travel in herds. And because we are oriented neurologically, our phenomenological experience is to be aware of the herd and its movements at any given point in time. We are very interested when something goes off the rails within the herd. We don't just ignore it and keep eating grass. We stop and go, whoa, 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 whoa. What happened here? That is not, I've been here for 365 days. And that has never happened before. We got to figure out what went wrong there so it never happens again. We are the watercolor group, the herd animals. We are very interested in what went wrong. We are very educated and well informed regarding the various facts of the case. We take a great deal of interest in the case. We consider the families and the friends. We have a great deal of empathy. But we also ask ourselves, what could have gone wrong here? So we are the brainstormers. We're the ones that are looking at the facts, we're thinking about the facts, we're appreciating the facts, and we're trying to generate all the possibilities. What could have happened here? What could this mean? What could that mean? Right? We're the water cooler team or tribe. We're not making up things just to make money. And we're certainly not a roving band of, officers of the court ready to zap you with a taser should something come out of your mouth that wasn't first reported by law enforcement. No. We have perfectly good brains, and we can think about things. We can consider, what could this mean? No, it couldn't be that because of this, blah, 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 right? So we're the water cooler team. For example, you say, well, if there's problems with the DNA on the sheath, if they're not even going to use that as evidence, then I wonder if we have trouble with the case. I wonder if we can place Kohberger in the house or near the house. And so then everybody sits around and they kind of go through all the facts that they've heard about this case and what they know. And then suddenly somebody says, of course, we can place him near the house or in the house. We don't need the sheath for that. And somebody says, how can we do that? How are we going to place him there without the sheath? Because his phone connected to the girl's Wi-Fi. He was actually using their Wi-Fi. Boom. There we go. So now we're perfectly relaxed and calm with the fact that the sheath may not be used. See what I mean? We're the water cooler team. We brainstorm. We generate alternate theories and possibilities. We're discussing stuff. All right? We're not the wicked wealthy. We don't have a lot of people rushing to hear the next greatest, fascinating, crazed witness of the murders. Because that's just simply not real. We would be like, that's hogwash. How am I going to fit that into mine and my theories? I'm trying to be realistically exploring the possibilities here, and you bring to me, what? They're drug dealers? Are they also like prostitutes? Like, what are you doing? They're the highest GPA prostitutes and drug addicts I've ever heard about. All right? So it's silly. We're also not saying, no, don't say that. Don't talk about the router. We can't say that until the law enforcement says that. So nobody say it. Everybody be quiet. Nobody say it. If you say it, I'm going to zap you with the taser gun. Now, something kind of disturbing in all of this information that's emerged. And this might have been what got Jennifer Coffindaufer in trouble. It was the information about Papa Rogers. That's right. King of the incels, Elliot Rogers. Why do you suppose that Bryan Kohberger chose the name Papa Rogers? Kind of makes you think maybe he knew about Elliot Rogers and thought, that is my king, right? All right. So the information about Papa Rogers is quite interesting, and we pretty much have gotten a guarantee now from law enforcement or from the investigators that, yes, Bryan Kohberger is Papa Rogers. And if you were one of the people that read and had access to Papa Rogers' post and the things that he talked about, that's a fairly horrifying realization that the investigators are saying, yeah, he is Papa Rogers. And the reason that I say it's horrifying is this. Papa Rogers actually describes the death of Kaylee. Let that sink in. And trust me, this is the kind of death that if you made a movie about it, it would get an X rating. It was awful what he did. Awful. So the realization that they're verifying to us that Papa Rogers is Bryan Kohberger is terrifying. It is terrifying. And you're gonna have to go over to the Wealthy Wicked in order to find out what the posts were by Papa Rogers. I'm not going to repeat that particular post. There'll be some that I'll talk about, but I won't be the one that will be covering that. There are lines where you don't cross, right? If you're a decent human being, there's lines that you don't cross, and that's one of them. Let's see. Oh, what did I do to my notes? Hold on. I lost my notes. Okay, so the definition of a serial killer is a person who kills 3 or 2 or more people in the same way over a period of 30 days and there has to be some level of cooling off period in between, and that cooling off period can really be any amount of time. It can be a day, it can be a week, whatever. um right now the officers of the court, they're freaking out, right? Who, if you know why they're freaking out, put a one. I'm gonna look and see. Why do you think the officers of the court, why are they freaking out right now, this second? Anybody know? Because I started talking about serial killers. And they're going to say, no, you can't say that. You can't call, that's not a serial killer. It's a mass murder. It's not a serial killer. Do you know anything? Don't say it. Cops didn't tell us. That they're freaking out right now, right? Okay. But I have a brain and I can think. And while I think that traditional definition of serial killer certainly does not hold up in the case of Bryan Kohberger, I think that his history, the information that we learned about him on the visual snow bulletin boards, some of the things that friends have said about him when he was in high school, and the social clumsiness and whatnot. There's some real things that really bother me and make me think there's this characteristic flavor to Bryan Kohberger's demeanor and actions that you cannot shake the feeling this guy's done it before. And he's keeping trophies. So just because they haven't yet proven, they haven't yet identified another episode where he killed someone in a heinous manner, it does seem like he had some trophies. So I also talked about little Buddy, remember Buddy the dog, the miniature Australian Shepherd. I talked about that, and I talked about the parallels to Jeffrey Dahmer, and that all of this fired up at the same time that Netflix started showing their Jeffrey Dahmer series. And it was, you could see the parallels to what was aired, and then Buddy coming up dead. So, when we know now that Kohberger got his knife, the K-bar, before moving to Idaho or Washington. Officer of the court, they are freaking out. I said the wrong thing. I said Idaho. It was Washington. They're freaking out. They're ready. They're getting the whips out. 30 lashes for me because I misspoke. All right, y'all chill out. Y'all calm down. Simmer down, officers of the court. So there's some uncomfortable characteristics that seem to, that when you're reading and learning about Bryan Kohberger, you get this idea he's one of those guys. When you look at his picture, you have this awareness he's one of those guys. So I thought what I'd do is kind of talk about serial killers just a little bit and see if there are any parallels to what we know about Bryan Kohberger. One of the first things is that the empirical research shows that about 65% of serial killers have a fascination with fire. Is this a pyromania? Come on. All right. So about 65 are fascinated with fires and whatnot. From a really early age, there is evidence of fetishism firing up. They very often early pornography, but then later almost across the board, like it becomes almost standard. There's it's not just pornography, S&M type pornography. But here's the big one. And we just had a thing in Houston. We just had a guy in Houston who, on the family's Ring doorbell, they could see the next door neighbor's house. And there was a guy that was coming every single night and just looking into the window of the teenage daughter's bedroom. And they got it all on video. They didn't even know they had it. And the daughter kept complaining and saying, no, I'm scared. There's someone, seems like someone's looking at me. And the family thought, gosh, is she having like some problems? Is she beginning to, get some paranoia or something? And one of the next door neighbors accidentally, it was completely just random, was going through their security pictures, videos, and they were like, what the hell is this? And they see the guy and they start going through all the recordings. There's where their setup would hold the stuff for 30 days. The guy was coming nearly every single night. And of course, as soon as that happened, he went over, got the dad. He said, look at this. They contacted the cops. And that night, when the creepo came and started again, they got him. So it's terrible. Really, really humbling, fearful thing. But when you read the research, serial killers, almost across the board, all of them, there's that voyeuristic quality. And I think it's, again, calm down, officers of the court, but I think that this strong connection to the whole voyeuristic thing, I think this is their psychopathy, that they're trying to learn. They don't know, they're not naturally picking up on socialization cues, and they're just trying to learn. They've been denied a regular developmental process where they learn in a healthy social manner. And so it then gets worse and worse. They get more and more alienated, and so they choose to sort of learn, kind of by like going to a zoo and looking at all the animals. You're just watching them with the idea that nothing you're doing is like interfering or changing in the way that they're acting. So yeah, voyeurism is a really big one. Again, I've talked about how the sadistic activity is it's not always connected to these various serial killers or mass killers, but it's not shocking. It's not uncommon when you run across it. It's more likely than not you're going to find evidence of sadistic behavior. Now here's the big one. They nearly always start by practicing on small animals. That's where it begins. There's a practice period with small animals. And I mentioned this, one of my old videos when all this first came out, and I made the connection. I said, what if this guy is a lurking serial killer? He watches the Dahmer series and that fires him up. It's the catalyst to get it started. They would start with a small animal like a puppy or a little dog, maybe even go up to a bigger dog like a German Shepherd or whatever. And then finally, ultimately, they're ready then to graduate to a human being, right? So he orders the knife. He's not a military guy. He's not a hunter. He's not like Barry Morphew, who's, perfectly, a knife would be like a extra finger on his hand. He very, very practiced with using a knife. But this guy, none of that, not capable at all. And so that's why I think about Buddy, and I think about, if it was practice, and you got, because remember, he filleted, not only did he skin Buddy, but he also filleted him for no apparent reason. So I think he was practicing. Also, serial killers, mass shooters are very often suicidal. And here's the deciding factor. They've got at least one suicide attempt. So if you run across someone who is suicidal, has a suicidal attempt, you also have to assess for homicidal anger. You have to consider safety factors. Is this person turning their anger and their frustration inward, therefore they're more likely to be suicidal? Or are they taking all of their anger and disappointment, frustration, and externalizing it and acting out in a way that maybe they become homicidal? So, I mean, we saw that with the Nashville shooter. She was a really good example of taking what was really internalized rage, and then with the help of, you know, some political rantings by others, I think she was persuaded to lash out, you know, at others. So suicide attempts are common, and you have to assess for homicidal rage. Here's a big one. Serial killers, about half have IQs that are high average or better. Now, can I just sort of tap that down a little bit to a realistic level? It doesn't mean that if you're a genius, you're going to be a killer. No. What I think what that means is this. There's a whole lot of would-be killers, or I should say serial killers. There's a lot of would-be serial killers that got caught the first time they killed because they're, you know, they got IQs of about 80. All right, so they're not very smart, so they got caught. And they don't turn into serial killers because they're in jail, right? I think those that qualify for that formal definition of serial killer, well, you got to be smart. You got to know how to do this and not get caught. And so I think that's why this particular statistic is here. Although I definitely don't think this is a very instructive. I don't think this is an instructive statistic unless you've got one of those situations like what's happening in Austin right now, where you've got, you know, 9, 10, 11 dead men. If it's all being done by one person, then you absolutely would be looking for a brilliant guy, right? If you believe it's the same guy that's doing it. Bedwetting is now that's another one of those statistics that you know warrants a little bit of explanation. So bedwetting and pyromania or fascination with fire, those things tend to go together, travel, you know, together clinically. Yes, you see a history of each of these things with people that are serial killers or mass murderers. However, more often than not, you associate those two things with abuse, right? Now, don't freak out, please, about the whole bedwetting thing, because lots of kids wet the bed. Not uncommon, not associated with abuse in any way. It could just be the physical maturation of that particular organ, you know, in the body. But where it's kind of the discernment of if you're talking about bedwetting at age 14 and there's the fire fascination, that would suggest that maybe you should start exploring possibilities for abuse. Okay. I think this is another bad statistic. I got curious one day and I actually started looking at cases. We're told often that more than half of these serial killers or mass murderers are single white men, right? That's kind of the stereotype. But in reality, that's not true. There are African American mass murderers or serial killers. There are serial killers or mass murderers of Asian descent. And we have women that Eileen Wuornos was, you know, she's going around shooting men that wanted to have sex with her. I'm kind of, you know, simplifying that a bit. But anyway, so we do look, here's the problem. While these things are very interesting to learn about, from a research point of view, from an academic point of view, you know, when you're actually in the thick of it and you're trying to figure out who the potential suspects could be, you need to have an open mind about what the evidence is telling you. There is evidence. It's going to come together. It's going to speak at some point. Don't say no, sorry, can't be. You chose the wrong person, because that person that you think it is decidedly Hispanic. And we know that all serial killers are white single males. And Eduardo is a Hispanic guy with 4 children. So it can't be him. You don't ever want that to happen. Okay. Now, or I will say this, and I do think this also goes back to IQ as well as mental health. Okay. Your serial killers, I guess any kind of killer, but your serial killers can fall into organized versus disorganized. Disorganized tend to be low intelligence and or higher levels of mental illness, where you're actually getting cognitive disruption. Their attention is disrupted. There's a lot of word salad. There's circular speak. And so if they're disorganized cognitively, then how in the world can they keep up with the whole narrative of the serial killing game? So again, you get back to the only people that you're going to identify as a serial killer are people that have killed multiple times with some static feature. That requires someone to be, you know, have a good memory, have good attention, and to be able to keep their emotions relaxed and calm so they can make good decisions when, you know, they're trying to avoid being caught. So the organized type are typically described as being above average intelligence. They're quite methodical in what they're doing, and these are the guys that will lure their victims to whatever area it is that they want to hurt them. A disorganized serial killer is low intelligence, they're high in impulsivity, and they do the dirty deed when the opportunity strikes. And that is what it looks like is happening. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. The organized type looks like what is happening in Austin, because these guys that are being killed, they're always at a bar, and then something happens that lures them out toward where the river is or where the lake is. So you get it seems to be methodical, it seems to be organized. The killer seems to have control over the crime scene, and they're socially competent, or else how would they get a stranger to follow them out to the river, right? So that does look like in Austin what they're looking at right now. Serial killers or murderers can be divided into 4 types of motivation. One is visionary, where they are psychopathic. They feel like they're directed by another intelligence or creature. And very often the visionaries see there's visual hallucinations and delusions of grandeur and whatnot. The mission motivated serial killers, they're on a mission, just as it says. They feel like they're doing something to help humanity. They'll take these actions in an effort to eradicate a particular group of people. A lot of times you see these people act out toward like streetwalkers. That used to be kind of a big thing in the 70s. Whatever's happening in a missionary type flavor to the killings. Then there are the hedonistic killers. They are seeking thrills, and they're getting a great deal of pleasure from the killing. The hedonistic and the power or the control killers, that's so there's such an overlap between them, because with the control, they're getting sexual gratification but they're not sexually assaulting their victim. The sexual titillation is from the control, but feeling I'm the all powerful person and I make the decision for life and death, right? That's their sexual titillation. The hedonistic killer is actually sexually excited from the killing, like what they're doing in the killing. And there's, usually necrophilia involved. So this is such a delightful topic, isn't it? All right. There are some early signs, or the research shows that there's some early signs of whether, somebody might end up being a serial killer or not. Or you can, if you got a potential serial killer on your hands, you can go back and collect data from childhood and early adulthood and see if any of this was in place. And that gives you a little bit more comfort in saying, no, we definitely believe Bryan Kohberger has other victims. We're gonna find them because this guy fits the stereotype. What would it look like? Well, generally, people that are identified as serial killer in their early life, there was physical and psychological abuse. Also, voyeurism is just about standard. Arson is standard. Killing or torturing animals, whether that is part of the control or they are being methodical and practicing, doesn't really matter. They're still acting out in a monstrous way in order to achieve their ultimate goal, which is the excitement of the kill. And then the serial killers control is everything, and the best motivation for them is the pursuit of dominance. And it doesn't really matter which of those 4 types of serial killer, it is about dominance. And when you stop and you think about the childhood or the young adult where they're socially awkward, I'm talking about Bryan Kohberger, socially awkward, smart, making the grades, able to learn, looking around and seeing other people making friends. And, in a weird way, we're describing Chris Watts, same exact type of thing. But something's missing. You can't do it. You don't know how to do it. You develop a great inferiority complex. There's a great deal of shame and embarrassment, hiding, wanting to be anybody but Bryan or Chris Watts. And then you begin to have these delusions of control and might, where now you're acting out instead of you being the victim. Now you're the one who's taken back your control. Now soon your daydreams lead you to a point where you are victimizing others. You have ultimate control. People are reduced to begging and pleading, no, please, Mr. Kohberger, don't hurt me. And all of that is conditioning the person to develop a philia where violence is concerned. And then they end up at a point where, just like you make love with someone because you're in love, they'll go kill somebody because they feel like they need that type of fulfillment and connection. It is very frightening, and we need to think twice before we let our kids bully other kids. We need to have our kids try to be kind to others, no matter how different. All right. So that is really kind of what I was going to say today. I do want to just say one more time in terms of these tribes on YouTube. Who remembers their names? We are the WaterCooler group, right? We like to brainstorm. We like to explore and consider all the various possibilities while still giving respect to the facts of the case, correct? And then we've got the officers of the court, and they believe that it is their job. Yes, Ishmael, they found 2 IDs, And they were hidden inside of a glove, and the glove was hidden inside of a box. Yeah? Is that how you store your IDs, Ishmael? Okay. Um, so there's the water cooler group, and then there are the officers of the court, and the officers of the court, they're the ones that went after Jennifer Coffindaffer last night or this morning. And they're the ones that are running around telling everybody, no, 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 don't do this. No, no, no. They're the hall monitors. Do you remember the hall monitors when we were in elementary school? Oh my gosh, you give somebody a little power, you create a monster, right? So the ones running around, you can't talk about it. You can't say that. You can't talk about it. Okay? Those are the officers of the court. And then there are who? The wealthy wicked. And the wealthy wicked, that's a fun group. Who agrees? They're a fun group. You like to go over there, you like to hear the stories. They're a creative group. They're making a lot of money, but there's a lot of fiction going on, but it's fun. It's interesting. It's like watching a Netflix movie. All right. So I think, we got at least a year of talking about this case and breaking it down into its, molar points and whatnot. People need to stay in their own lane. Be respectful of one another. If you're not a water cooler kind of person, if you don't like to do brainstorming and just consider the possibilities of what might be happening, then you're probably not going to enjoy my channel. And if you have a strong adherence to the rules and you only do whatever someone tells you the rules are, then you're probably not going to have fun over with the wealthy wicked. That's not your tribe. You'll be, if you have a strong desire, if you feel safe when you're following the rules, you're probably going to be really happy being one of the officers of the court, right? And then like Lucas said, amen, Lucas, I'm with you. Lucas says, you know what, truth, I'm a little bit of all three. Absolutely, Lucas, 100%. That's the reality of most people. Thank you for defining 4 types of serial killers, especially the mission. I use that phrase incorrectly as an adverb to describe an SE who has locked in on a specific person on a mission, repeated attempts, unstoppable. It can be that, Margaret. It can be that. For example, if let's say, I guess a Hollywood stereotype would be the serial killer whose first girlfriend humiliated them, and then forever they spend the rest of their life killing the first girlfriend, right? Anytime they see a girl that looks exactly like or looks similar to the old girlfriend, that becomes the new obsession, correct? Okay, so that would be that's the same thing. But it doesn't have to be so personal that it would be someone that hurt him. It could be that you're on a mission to eradicate something bad in general that would be bad for other people. I know that's kind of a poor description. Quick question, within the professional mental health community, do they think serial killers can be rehabilitated? Whew. Man, there's a question. Okay, hold on 1 minute. Sage is frantically asking to go outside. Just 1 second, please. Sorry about that. Thank y'all for that intermission. So can they be rehabilitated? Well, here's the problem. There's a basic flaw in the question. The assumption is that if you rehabilitate them, then can they go back out into the community and not be a danger any longer, right? Well, that's not going to be true, because if they're a serial killer, they're probably spending the rest of their life in jail. I also think that could they be rehabilitated? Possibly, but what prison system is gonna devote that kind of money and attention to have a expert come in and do that kind of thing? you would conceivably find the funds to do it if it was someone that would be getting out of prison one day, right? So that because you could justify that you wanted to keep the general public safe, and so you want to try to rehabilitate. So it's also, the serial killers are also not, there's not, it's not very common. Well, it's more common than you think, but it's not like pedophiles. Pedophiles are everywhere. It's a terrible testament to our culture. But there's a lot of pedophiles, and so there's a great deal of money invested in the prisons working with these people. They have tried everything. They've tried chemical castration. They have done EMDR. They've done everything that you can imagine. There's no stopping it. It's basic. So, I kind of think probably serial killers would be in the same boat as the whole pedophilia thing. Just because with serial killers, the murders, you have that sexualized component. So, and that is a primary reinforcer. Orgasm, that's primary. So if your violent tendencies, if your thirst for blood is rewarded by orgasm, that's going to be something you're really going to have a hard time unlearning, untraining. I hope that answers your question. The smart thing he did, target a house. Yeah, well, okay, so that brings up something I was thinking about today. The house that he chose, the question is, did he choose the girl first and then saw the house? Or did he choose the house and then chose the girl? I'm of the opinion it was the house. The house remember about the organized killer is methodical, correct? And so I think that he's planning out, he's got this whole fantasy in his head of what the murders are going to be like. And he's liking it. Like he's enjoying the planning phase. And so he's thinking, okay, I need a house that is like on a cul-de-sac. That's the closest I'll come to controlling the environment, is being able to watch the way in and then verifying, okay, it's the witching hour and nobody's been driven into the neighborhood in 2 hours. And so everybody's probably fast asleep. I can probably make my move. Exactly, DB. Yep. I think so too, Savannah. I think it all started with the restaurant. So he picks that, he looks at a map, right? He looks at a map and he finds an area that would fit his idea of a controllable situation. That's something else I did not talk about, and it should be talked about. With the serial killers, they're hyper focused on controlling the situation. They've got to control the environment. That's a huge thing for their planning. Control the environment, control the environment, control the environment. So I think he probably looked at the map first, found a location, and then he probably went and sat in his car and watched what was going around, what was going on in that location, and then he picked the house that had the pretty girls. And then it didn't take him long to figure out that, Maddie and Zaina, where they were working, and oh look, I can go in there and get food, and that it was off to the races at that point. He looks so different in every picture I've seen of him. It's so weird. Danielle, I was really shocked when I started trying to do this. I wanted to share this too. Hold on, because I was going to talk about this. All right. Don't be sad, John. I'm sorry. Why are you sad? Don't be sad. All right. So, Watch this. He's been close enough for his Wi-Fi to pick up. That's correct, Boo. All right. Let me go to this. All right. Why are you still there? Go away. Okay. Sorry. All right. So this is my old picture. Y'all remember who this is? That's Sandy Hook shooter. This is so crazy, y'all. Now, if you are one of the officers of the court, now is time for you to leave, because what you're about to hear might freak you out. You might have a damn heart attack, to tell you the truth. So if you're an officer of the court, you should leave now for your own safety, because you're not going to like what I'm about to say. You know what I mean? All right. This is my original picture. Y'all remember I did a video months ago, and I merged together. This is Adam Lanza on your left, and then this is Bryan Kohberger on your right. Okay? It's pretty damn perfect. It's kind of crazy, actually, how perfect it is. So what I thought I would do here is I thought, well, why don't I just merge him, but at two different ages, right? I can't get it to fit, you guys. It doesn't look like the same person. That right there is about as close as I can get. Now, what happened to him? Can somebody tell me? That's it right there. Oops. It's kind of crazy. The only thing I can think of is, did he have plastic surgery? That's kind of close right there, isn't it? That's a little bit better. Yeah, that's pretty good. But anyway, he looks dramatically different, though. Yeah, I mean, right there, you kind of got the basics bone structure, but his nose is all wrong. The nose is wrong. Like, you can't even get close on the nose. His chin is completely different chin. There's like his chin pokes out here, but it's flat here. And then look at the orbital area of his eyes. That's really weird. But here's the biggest part of all. What the hell's wrong with his ears? What is wrong with his ears? I saw that and I thought, your ears don't move. You can have all kinds of plastic surgery, but your ears do not move on the side of your head. What happened to the man's ears? I told y'all, the officers of the court, they're not gonna like this. Yeah, it's definitely angles, but look at his ears. A girl probably broke his nose. Maybe the girl that he told that she had good birthing hips. Well, no, he was a lot chubbier, of course, Savannah, which is why I kind of wanted to do this picture, like merge them together. But the chubby factor shouldn't change the bone structure. The bone structure should be the same. His ear is moved. His ear is completely moved. His eyeball is sunk much further back in the orbital sockets, much further back. It doesn't even look like him. I promise you, look at how weird this is. That is Bryan Kohberger in high school and this Bryan Kohberger now. But, and you see how it looks, right? I mean, it's not really a very good match. That's about the best I've gotten so far. It's not really a very good match. But watch this match. Ah! It's almost perfect. Freaky. Freaky deaky. Weird. Weird stuff. Think that confused me. I had to kill with a knife. What? They both kind of have the weird Ted Bundy vacant stare. Oh, listen. No doubt Kohberger's got the blank stare. Absolutely blank. I'll tell you somebody else who has a blank stare too. Courtney Richens. Is it Courtney? Corey Richens. I'm trying to put together a video on her right now. Corey Richens got an empty eyes. It is freaky. Fractured fairy tales. How's that possible that he looks more like Adam Lanza than he does himself? How's that possible? Somebody explain this magic to me, because it's scary. I may not sleep tonight. Isn't that crazy? So weird. It's so weird. I don't understand it. Don't understand it. What's wrong? Trover, why are you crying? See, that looks pretty close, but look at the ears. All right, so that was kind of close, but look at the ears. The ears are just all wrong. All wrong. Do y'all think he had surgery on his ears? No, the lips are crazy. It's crazy, actually. The jaw, it looks pretty close. His damn ass use Amazon. Yeah, he used Amazon to buy the murder weapon. The Utah author mom is another vapid, vacant-eyed person. I think it is not just the eyes, but the warmth or lack thereof that says it so loudly. Yeah, that's the Richens. So here's something I've been trying to find, Fractured Fairy Tales. So Danielle says no. Why are you saying no, Danielle? Did you do Adam Lanza on the other side? I did, Margaret. Yeah. It was for a different video. So that's Adam Lanza right there. That's Adam Lanza. And then this is just Kohberger in his younger years. But wow, it's weird how different. Look at his ears. I'm freaking out about the ears, y'all. Somebody help me. Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. I think you got a nose job, too. Look at his nose. Look how long his nose is on the left, but on the right, you got a big old schnozzy nostril. Look at that big old nostril. Weird business. Something freaky going on in Idaho. Or not Idaho, Pennsylvania. All right. Yes, Diane. Adam Lanza looked more alike. I was saying no to the ear surgery. Made me think of Letitia Googling getting face transplants. Oh my God. Things you never want to hear about again. Letitia Stalk, right? Golly, that girl was something. Amazingly weird. And Adam Lanza was younger than BK. Yeah, much younger than BK. Someone clocked him after the nose job. Yeah, but I think I think he did have nose job and they trimmed off like the bottom part and gave him a nostril. See how big that nostril is? I mean, that sucker could be home to a wayward rabbit. You know what I mean? But here, you don't get that big old nostril. Yep. Something suspicious is happening. Paranoia strikes deep. Let's stop to what that sound. Everybody look what's going down. All right. Unfortunately, there's weird stuff going all over the place, Scott. Yes. And the chick in Utah, where she gave her husband fentanyl, that's the Richens girl. Richen? Yeah, no. Anyway, listen how weird this is, though. I think, or I'm trying to figure this out. It appears that her husband was in business with a guy named Cody Wright. And Cody Wright was a world champion Bronco buster, right? 2-time world champion. And his uncle was a world champion. And the Wright family in Utah are these uber famous cowboy, National Rodeo Association royalty. And I'm trying to find out, is this his best friend? Be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? Killer Clones. Ooh, that'd be the name for a good video, Kathy R. Killer Clones. I know, the officers of the court, right now, they're grabbing for their smelling salts. Right this second, that thud you heard, that was them collectively falling at the same time. They've hit their head. They're all knocked out cold because we're actually saying, oh, look, it's not him. Don't say that. Law enforcement didn't say that. That's not law enforcement information. All right. He told friends he thought his wife was poisoning him. That more than one time he told friends that, Diane. A deviated septum. I heard about that case. Haven't looked too much into it with so many trials going on lately. I'll do a video tomorrow on it, Danielle. I was going to do it today, and then I said, no, I want to talk about the tribes of YouTube. Because that was terrible. Y'all should go on Twitter and look at Jennifer Coffindoffer's feed. The crazy people were attacking her in a way that was just strange. She was absolutely DB. That is a freaking scary story. Terrifying story. Killer clowns from outer space. The clones sound better. Killer clones. So here's something that I found that I thought was really interesting, DB, and others that are interested in the Utah killer lady. So she met this guy, and she was a cash register girl at the grocery store. And so she met Eric. His name is Eric, and they dated, and then they were ready to get married. Now his family, like I was telling y'all about, the Wright family is well connected and wealthy. So was Eric's family. Eric's mom and dad, they had a ton of money, lots of businesses, and a very powerful Utah family. And so, she's all excited. She's being all cute and wearing the latest fashions and thinking, I got myself a Prince Charming. Eric is his name. And then it came time for, the royal wedding. And of course, what girl would not be happy on the day of her royal wedding? And so she gets all dressed up, and suddenly her dear future mother in law comes to visit her. She says, "Excuse me, ladies, would everybody just leave me and my future daughter in law alone for a moment? I just want to talk with her about being a part of the family." And so everybody leaves the room and they close the door, and old mother in law whips out a what? A prenuptial agreement. She's standing there in her wedding gown. The church is full of all the highest Utah society. And the mother-in-law, no one says a word about a prenup until she's about to walk down the aisle. How cool is that? I'd like to meet that mother. She's cool. She's protecting her family. So she that's how the marriage started out. Is she kind of got shocked and she signed the prenup, because what else would you do in that situation? And then they went on and they ended up having 4 kids. 4 kids or 5 kids? 4 kids. They went on and had 4 kids and were happy for a while, and then she went off the rails. She went crazy. "Sign here, darling, then we can be family." Yeah. I don't know why, DB, but I have in my mind Cruella de Vil. Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. I gotta go finish watching the hockey game. My son is getting annoyed with me. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. You have a wonderful time with your son, Danielle. I hope y'all's team wins. All right. So, yeah, the mother-in-law, awesome. Color her, awesome, right? I thought it was a great mother-in-law power move. Okay. All right, people. So that is really what I wanted to cover today. Please keep in your mind the WaterCooler Tribe, the Wicked Wealthy Tribe, and the Officers of the Court. All right, if you can recall all 3 of the tribe names, put them in. Type them in real quick. What are the 3 tribes of True Crime YouTube? I feel like I have whooping cough. Whooping cough. Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil. She doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. The money grabbers. Cinnamon. Cinnamon, hot. I'm trying to give us a standardized vocabulary so that we can talk about the various channels. We don't want to call them money grubbers or money grabbers. They are the wicked wealthy. There ain't nothing in this world for free. No, there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed. There ain't nothing in the world for free. Wickedly Wealthy, Officers of the Court, and the WaterCooler team. There you go, DB. But we're going to spike that water cooler with something yummy. All right. You guys have a wonderful evening. I hope there's something interesting to watch on YouTube tonight. Look, we hit it was the Triple Crown. If you're into horse racing, you'll know what the Triple Crown is. We got the Triple Crown, didn't we? We got the West Boys. Those murderers are going down. We got Lori Vallow. She is going down. And we got Letitia Stock. She is going down. They got all three of them. All three of them. So that was great news. And so now we're looking at Chad Daybell. I guess he's going to be the next one. Chad Daybell, and then it'll be toss up between which one gets here first. The Arizona case. The Arizona case against Lori Vallow, or the Bryan Kohberger case. But I'm going to tell y'all, I believe that Bryan Kohberger, he's going to go to trial, don't y'all think? What do y'all think? Do y'all think he's going to go to trial, or do you think he would try to make a deal? But I will say this, I would be in shock if Kaylee Goncalves' family agreed to a deal. What do y'all think? The unholy trinity. You know what I'm going to do, Scarlett? When I end this live, I'm going to go over and make me a little meme with the unholy trinity. That's a great idea. Thank you. Hey, Truth Seeker, how are you? Triple home run. There you go. Who knows who Secretariat is? Anybody know Secretariat? Greatest horse flesh in all of history. Won the Triple Crown by, I think it was 16 lengths, if I remember. Maybe it was 17 lengths. I don't remember. That was a long time ago. Let me see. Let me fact check myself. Secretariat won by how many? Oh, 31 lengths. How many lengths? How can it be? Yep, 31. He won by jaw-dropping 31 lengths. His time was 2 minutes, 24 seconds for a mile and a half. It was a world record, and it will never be broken. Newsweek, Time, Sports Illustrated all featured the horse on the cover the same week. There'll never be another Secretariat. He was a giant of a horse too. It was enormous. All right. BK wants to relish in the whole experience. Because of the drug stuff. I'm glad you were too, Scott. It's so weird that you were here tonight. Maybe 2-3 days ago, I saw a billboard, and it had something on there that was West by Southwest, and I thought about you. So it's great to see you again. Greatest horse of all time, DB, absolutely, no doubt about it. If you don't believe me, go watch the clip of him winning the Triple Crown. Yeah, it was amazing. All right, everybody, I am going to put an end to this, and y'all be awesome. And I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll talk about that cowboy in Utah whose wife killed him with fentanyl. All right, see you later. Oh, you know what I need to do? Please. Thumbs up if you like the video. I'm begging you, because YouTube is not sharing our videos. I felt really bad for 10 to Life. She's awesome. I mean, she's killing it. I love her redo on her set and everything. I love it. But she's frustrated by the loss of views. And I am certain that it is because they're really pushing the mainstream media channels now, the ABCs and CBSs, you know. And I think there's not much room now for the little independent people like me. Like I don't pay anybody to make my thumbnails or to manage my channel, or I don't have social media. I don't have audio. I don't have lighting. Anything you see, it's because I tried to figure it out, and it's not very good. I contacted someone today and I said, do you ever like do like channel support for, I'm really thinking I'm going to hire somebody to help me, because it is not, I'm getting like 5 new viewers. I'm still getting all the same, regular viewers. Everybody's coming, but I went from getting like 1,000 new viewers every video, and now I get like 5. It's weird. It's like it's been throttled back or something. But anyway, if you'll give me thumbs up, then maybe it'll get shared. And of course, feel free to share it on yours. Not this one, because I don't think this was a very good video, but some of them have been good. Anyway, I'm going to quit babbling now. You can tell I don't feel good. So y'all have fun. Hit the thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to be here for the next one. Y'all have a good evening. Bye.